Now, for those of you connected in some way to the hospitality industry, if you've still got a business, that is, or a job, you'd know more than most how tough the past 12 months have been in this country. The virus lockdown set revenue spiralling. The on, off and on border closures have continued the hemorrhaging. And just before Christmas, when it appeared there'd be 2 clear weeks of high demand and revenue and making up for a terrible year, the Northern Beaches cluster smashed the industry again. There's still the loss of JobKeeper that hospitality has to cope with as well. So today, the Restaurant and Catering Industry Association sent a public SOS to all governments in Australia for urgent help, and they want a voucher concept similar to the one almost adopted by New South Wales, to be rolled out nationally. The association's chief executive is Lambert. He joins me now. Thank you very much for your time, Wes.
Good evening.
That pre-Christmas outbreak in Sydney and the panic to close borders and create lockdowns was virtually the final straw for the industry, because so many people had banked on catching up for those 2 weeks, hadn't they?
Absolutely. In the hospitality industry, up to 40% of revenues are earned in November, December and January during the Christmas and school holidays. And to first begin to lose that revenue in South Australia when it had a snap lockdown, and then into the Northern Beaches and Greater Sydney, and then into Brisbane, it was the blow that the hospitality industry just could not take over this summer vacation.
I've seen places where I go to over the January period, when I get away for a few days, that are now closed. They haven't opened. They haven't reopened. Their signage and their shingles don't exist anymore. That's the fact of the matter. JobKeeper has not been able to sustain everyone in the hospitality industry, has it?
Absolutely. There are many pockets around every state where the tourists were not allowed to come. And so those hospitality businesses, those arts and entertainment businesses, they just failed. They will not be coming back after the holidays are over. In addition, the restaurant award increases on the 1st of February, just weeks before JobKeeper ends. Oh. So we are certainly calling out for stimulus on a state-by-state level, similar to the New South Wales Out and About voucher scheme, which we expect to roll out in the coming weeks. And then on a federal level, we're calling out the Prime Minister and the Treasurer to come up with that bespoke targeted stimulus that they have promised when JobKeeper ends for the hardest hit industries, which are accommodation, food service, tourism, and arts and entertainment.
OK, explain to us both forms of revenue. Explain the voucher system for those in other states who haven't seen what New South Wales has come up with, and explain what you want the Treasurer to do again.
So look, in New South Wales, the Treasurer and the Premier, who's done an amazing job through COVID, has come up with the Out and About voucher scheme, which was based upon a submission that we made to the government back in August, where each New South Wales resident will get $100 in their Service New South Wales app that they can redeem $25 at a time. So a mum and dad can redeem $50, let's say, at a time, in restaurants, cafes, coffee shops, and arts and entertainment venues like the zoo and cinemas for $100 to drive demand. So that's a $500 million stimulus package, which we expect to bring $1 billion to $1.5 billion to both the arts and entertainment and the restaurant industry in New South Wales. And we would like the same system to be rolled out in every state and territory. We have made submissions. South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania did have a similar voucher system for tourism, but they were snapped up in hours to the point where websites were crashing. It needs to be a progressive, longer-term voucher system in each state to drive demand, because those businesses in each state, they have no control over snap lockdowns like in Brisbane on Friday with 9 hours notice. They just lose bookings, they lose revenue, and they lose millions of dollars of produce when that happens. And imagine if you had a wedding or a function set for Saturday. It's just gone.
What about stimulus? You mentioned about Victoria and South Australia and Tasmania having almost like an accommodation stimulus. That would bring people into areas where they don't normally live, where they don't normally reside. Wouldn't that also benefit indirectly hospitality?
It certainly did, but we don't believe that it was wide enough. Certainly, they were snapped up in a very small amount of time. Imagine if every adult in New South Wales gets these $100 vouchers, when there's only 70,000 of the tourism vouchers in certain states. It's just not enough. And you asked on a federal level what we're hoping that the Prime Minister and the Treasurer do. We will certainly need very bespoke, targeted stimulus for those businesses in industries that are affected. It's not very many. There's about 20 industries in Australia, and there's about 4 that are continually affected by lockdowns and roadmaps, similar to the one in Brisbane. It affects primarily hospitality and arts and entertainment businesses. So we're looking for the federal government to understand that our industry is going to be the brunt of the lockdowns and the restrictions every time a case escapes hotel quarantine, which every premier has said is going to happen, until we get to a 70 to 80% vaccine uptake, which cannot likely happen before at least middle to the end of the year. Around the country, it is very important to understand we cannot keep taking the punches for the restrictions and the lockdowns.
But you've almost got to the realisation now that there will be no nationally consistent border policy or lockdown policy based on hotspots, which is what the Commonwealth Health Team has been pushing for. There isn't the coordination or the smarts between all the premiers to get that happening, is it?
Well, we would hope that there would be some level of border easing that stays as the vaccine begins to roll out. It is very important that since we have the international arrivals and the vaccine is expected to roll out from the end of January, that the states and federal government and national cabinet get together on a strategy that works. We just can't have mid-flight people being told that they can't land, or if they land, they're going to be fined if they don't hotel quarantine. It's just too much for the Australian public to deal with, and it's more than businesses can bear.
Yeah, it's a total mess. Wes Lambert will continue to help you with this campaign through the months ahead. Good luck. And next time I speak with the Treasurer, I'll raise your stimulus idea. First question, promise.
Thank you.
Good on you.